Honestly, grab a drink, grab food, grab your loved ones, and then sit down and watch this video because we are doing a declutter this time. I have to admit that I have been really overwhelmed with my collection in general lately, and it does not only apply to eyeshadow palettes. This is also a topic with foundations a little bit, primers. No, primer not so much. Primer is okay, but blushes and I don't know. So every year I declutter my collection, and today we're doing eyeshadow palettes, and every year I do this with a certain system, and this year I think I found the perfect rational declutter system. So I do have a list here. So oh boy, I know this is German and I know you all will freak out. So what do we have here? I have a list with basically the brand, the palette, the rating, whether I used it in 2025 or not, and maybe a comment, because I do have some palettes like the collector's palette from Beauty Bay here. This is not rated, not used yet, because it is completely new. I haven't even started filming my review when I'm filming this declutter. When you see the video, I think I'm already done filming with the review. But I also I did this now in alphabetical order, so I have a lot of stuff to share with you. So honestly, let's just start here. Before we head into the first pile of palettes, I also did some math now. So in total, we are going to look now, I hope, can you even read that? In total, we are going to look at, I think, 234 palettes. Some of them are not in there because I haven't catalogized them yet in my in my Excel spreadsheet, and 142 I used in 2025. So I used approximately just 60% of my eyeshadow collection, which is actually very sad. And in this video, I am going to create basically 3 piles. A keep pile, a maybe pile, and a definitely declutter pile. Last year I did that maybe pile too, and in that maybe pile I basically keep palettes where I'm not sure if I want to declutter them or not, and I will feature them in a video series throughout 2026 to finally decide if I want to declutter them or not. And we're starting off with Adept Cosmetics. All of my Adept Cosmetics palettes scored way over 8. 8 is basically my sweet spot, and I defined for myself everything that is not, or that is less than an 8.0 is actually not worth keeping. If I'm keeping it, I need a good reason, or at least it should have been used in 2025. So I think it's easy. Here we have at first the new Minka palette that is definitely a keep. Then we have the RH Null. This is also a keep. We have the new Seahorse palette. This is a keep. And now let's start with the first one. This is the old Seahorse palette. The old Seahorse palette scored in my collection a 9.7, but I haven't used it in all 2025, aside from just doing some swatches to compare it with the new Seahorse. I have to admit to you that I'm really questioning if I want to keep this palette or not, so this is the first one that I will put on the maybe pile. Then we have Cyborg Choir. This scored an 8.8 in my collection, and this is sadly not available anymore. I haven't used it in all 2025, but I just know that I do want to keep it. So this goes right into keep. Then we have the Amy Loves palette. This one I also didn't use in 2025, but this scored an 8.3. I enjoy the palette. I enjoy looking at it, and I totally see myself keep on using it. So this is also a keep. Element 115. This one scored an 8.0 in my collection, and I haven't used this in all 2025. Honestly, I like the color story of this. I love the way this looks. This was a gift from a friend actually, but I also have to, you see that there are some shades in here that are completely untouched. And I am honest with you, I am not 100% sure if I want to keep this, so I think this is our first declutter. Yeah, the Element 115, it didn't really live up with me, so this is a declutter. I don't know if I said this in the beginning, but I want to make this the most ruthless declutter ever. Last but not least, emo. I think this is quite obvious that this is a keep. On to the ABH palettes that I have here, and let's start with Rose Metals. This is an 8.0. Yeah, this is an 8.0 in my collection, and I actually used it this year. I gave it a spot in Best Fall Palettes, so definitely a keep for me. The Cosmos, though, this is the scored better with an 8.3, but I haven't used this in all 2025, and while I enjoy looking at this palette, I mean, look at how mine looks. I have used it quite a lot when it launched, and let's be honest, if a palette is just there for me to look at it, and then I don't use it and just look at it, this is really not the thing. So I have to admit that this sadly has to go. Then we have the two mini palettes that came out last year. We have the Spice palette that I surprisingly like much more than I originally thought. This was also part of best palettes or for fall in general, so this is a keep. And then the Sugar palette, I mean, honestly, this is like a mini Cosmos palette, and I, for whatever reason, much rather want to use this than Cosmos. So Cosmos goes, but Sugar, while I haven't used this all in 2025, I want to keep. Next up, we have my 4 Anthemy palettes. So all of them were sent to me in PR. I should have said this. I am affiliated with a lot of these brands, and if there is a code or anything, it is down in the description box. If something is sent in PR, I haven't noted this here now down, but if I remember it, I will say that this was PR. But you know, PR doesn't change my opinion. Let's start with Dream of Flying Moth. This scored a 9.2 in my collection, but I have not used this all 2025. It is a stunning palette. I really like to look at it, but again, I'm not seeing myself doing a look. So, Declutter. Then we have Chapter of Deep Sea. This scored a 9.0 in my collection. Same here, haven't used this all 2025. And while I think this is a beautiful palette with stunning blues, I'm so thrown off by that random chartreusey color here. So, Declutter. Then we have the Icy Ferret. This scored an 8.8, and I did use this in 2025 because I think it launched in 2025. This is definitely a palette I'm going to keep. I mean, look at it. And last but not least, we have the Black Cat. This is a beautiful palette. I really like it, but I don't like the combo with the blue, plus again, a random chartreuse shade. So sadly, has to go. Let's move on with the next pile of eyeshadow palettes. First of all, we have the Adept Cosmetics Arcana palette. This scored an 8.8 in my collection, and I of course used it in 2025 because it launched in 2025. I'm a big fan of that. It went quite high in my collection, so this is a keep. The OG Beauty Bay Mini Charms palette. This came out last year. This is a stunning palette. Yes, I do like it, but it is not as impactful as the new ones. So I decided I don't want to keep both of the mini charms. I just want to keep one. So the OG mini charm is a declutter. Plus, I haven't used this in 2025, although it scored a 9.0. And then I have the Mini Charms 2 or the Mini Charms Neutral. This, yes, it is a neutral palette, but this one is so much more impactful. This reminds me so much of the effectful, beautiful molten metal look of the OG Minka palette. I mean, the new Minka palette is beautiful, but the OG, there was something like molten metal looking. This one here is absolutely stunning, so I want to keep this because it reminds me so much of this. And while this is more neutral and not as colorful, I actually enjoy the Mini Charms Neutral more. So this is a keep. I don't think we have to talk about Metamorphic. I am still sad that this is discontinued, so this is a keep. Same for the Dark Lights palette. This came out this year. I absolutely adore this palette. The Dark Lights actually scored quite high in my collection with 8.8, and I loved every look in the review. Reckless Romance, another 20 pan that actually survived, I think at this point, 2 declutters. It scored an 8.0 in my collection, but I have not used this in all 2025. So honestly, I think it is time now to finally say goodbye. So Reckless Romance, while this was limited edition and it's not available anymore and it's a beautiful color story, no thank you. I don't have time for this, so you have to go, sadly. The Celestial Charms palette came out last fall together with the mini charms, and I think this is a stunning palette, but looking at my collection in general and the fact how many purple color stories I have, how many blue-based greens I have, how many beautiful Star Sky inspired palettes I own, I think this is just a waste in my collection. When I look at my palettes here, it scored an 8.0 and I actually used it this year, but when I look at this, I don't feel very inspired or very, like, thrilled. So you know what? I'm gonna put this on the maybe pile. Let's make this the second maybe palette. I have a couple of the big palettes. The Beauty Base Smoky palette. This is an easy keep because I keep on just raving about this if you are on the hunt for the perfect gray palette. So not really a struggle. We have the Midnight palette. A lot of people missed out on this. They luckily re-released that, and I think this is just a beautiful monochromatic purple blue palette. So like I just said, I have so many purples, but there is something special about Midnight, and I actually used it in 2025, so, did I use it, really? One moment. Yes, I did, so I'm gonna keep this. The Fairy palette, oh boy, this... The thing is, I think this is a beautiful palette, and I think this is also a beautiful fall palette. This is a definition of fire in an eyeshadow palette, but while I used it this year, and while I scored it with an 8.0, so it is basically at that borderline of being not acceptable in the overall rating, this palette was in a potential declutter 3 or 4 times at this point, and I think it is finally time to let go. The Fairy palette is beautiful, but the thing is, if I use the Fairy palette, I use the bottom rows, I use the upper row. These center rows here is really not appealing to me because of the yellows and the bright oranges. So Fairy 2, you will be decluttered. The Botanical palette, the new one, just came out this year. I'm gonna keep this. It is quite new in my collection. Oh, and with the Rich palette, I actually have a problem. I named this also a palette for fall in last year. And look at this. It is so beautiful. It is really just like the name says. It is rich. It is stunning. But it scored just a 7.7. The reason why this is a 7.7 is not the quality or anything. It is a color story because it is quite boring. I think this is a stunning eyeshadow palette. But there is just, with warm eyeshadows and me, I have this seasonal urge for them, this seasonal tickling in my heart that I want to use something like this. The Rich palette is so insanely stunning, but I don't think it is worth for me keeping at this point because I will grab this big palette only in fall. There is no other time where I feel the need for this palette. Is it stunning? Yes. Would it be a waste in my collection? Honestly, I think it would. Or do I want to... I'm gonna put this on the maybe pile. I'm so indecisive about that one. We're now moving on to BPerfect, Blend Bunny, and Bella Beauté Bar. Let's start with the first batch here of Blend Bunny palettes. Starting with the Trove Quad, no surprise that I will be keeping this. Same goes for the Fluorescence. This is fairly new. This was sent to me in PR in collaboration, Blend Bunny x My Pang. Beautiful palette. The Little Miss She Never Misses. I bought this myself last year and I look at this palette and I really like it. I look at this palette and I feel quite inspired. I look at my ranking and I gave this an 8.2, so it is also at that line of not being good enough. The thing is, when I look at the palette, what I see is a very bluish and purple eyeshadow palette with insanely good quality. I also see a palette that has a row of green that is nice, but it's not my favorite. And I do see just looks that I don't know if I'm really feeling them, especially when I take into consideration that there are other palettes in my collection that I just like more. So I want to give the Little Miss She Never Misses another chance. This is a maybe palette. Blend Bunny Longing. I would be crazy to declutter this, so this is definitely a keep. And while I had some critical thoughts about the Rotten palette, mainly for the color story, I definitely want to keep this. Also part of PR, and it challenged me a bit, so I like a challenge, so yes, you stay in my collection. Beauty Below. Don't need to say anything about this. I'ma keep this. And the Lure palette. So here I have my things. The thing is, the Lure palette is so stunning. But the Lure palette has an older formula of shimmers. And I'm not really living for these shimmers. I think these are beautiful shades. And actually, when I look at the rows here of these color stories, there is not a single row, yes, even the green row, where I would say I don't want to use it. But I don't like the older Blend Bunny formula, and I think it is time to let go. Maybe at one point we get something similar from Blend Bunny that just has their updated formula of shimmers. And while I do really enjoy the palette overall, I mean, look at it. I think it is time at this point to just let go of it. The Lure palette, by the way, scored a 9.3, but I haven't used it in all 2025. Next up we have Sugar and Grunge with an 8.8, and I used it in 2025, and this has the same shimmer formula as the Lure palette, but first of all, this version of Sugar and Grunge is not available anymore because they had to do some things with that line. I don't want to go into depth now, but yeah, they brought it now back with a different name. The shade's slightly different, but I do love that OG one, so I do want to keep that. That Dollhouse palette with an 8.5 in my collection, one of the more neutral eyeshadow palettes that I really enjoy there. I haven't used it though in all 2025. The thing is, in my Blend Bunny ranking, this is quite high because, let's be real, Dollhouse is just so beautiful. But my taste has changed a lot, and I would use this palette and I would be very happy with this palette, but then I would have used it and then it would go back into my shelf and I will not think about Dollhouse anymore. So as said, I want to be very ruthless. I want to be strict. I want to make 2026 a new era for me. So I sadly have to let go of this. Then we have the Machina palette. This scored an 8.2, but I haven't used it in all 2025. The thing is, this is not available anymore. And the Machina, I have to admit, while I had so many critical thoughts about this in the beginning, I was so surprised. This palette was so much better than I initially thought, so I am not ready to let go of this. The Sickly Sweet palette is it was used in 2025, but it only has a 7.7. This one though has a good reason why it will stay in my collection. And you will say, but Ella, A, this has pastels, and B, Ella, this is the old shimmer formula from Blend Bunny. Yes, you are all right, but Ella has only one pastel palette, and that is this one, because this has the best pastel formula, and whenever I need a pastel eyeshadow, I will go into my Sickly Sweet. Well, apparently in 2025, I was not in need of a pastel eyeshadow, but honestly, I don't want to let go of this, so it's a keep. The Haunt Me palette just came out not too long ago. This is a PR that I got, and this is a keep. Same actually with the Alice Atlantis Volume 2. We have the Origin palette, we have the Imperial palette, and part of that is also the Garden of Stars palette. I think it is safe to say that there is no explanation needed and that I keep all three of them. Then we have the Alice Volume 1. This is a stunning rainbow palette. And I think just with looking at this palette, maybe it is also understandable that a palette like the Little Miss She Never Misses goes to a maybe pile. Because honestly, I can probably create, at least when it comes to the mattes, everything with this palette too. But there is something with the Little Miss that I don't want to declutter it yet, so this one is a 100% keep. It is such a good palette. If you are somebody that wants to have only that one palette, honestly, this is the one to go. Wow, I decluttered 2 Blend Bunny palettes. That's a big step for me. I only have one Carnival palette left. I think in 2025 I already decluttered the Carnival 4, but this is Carnival 5 Interstellar. This is This is just stunning. The thing is, since I do have the Alice Atlantis one, and I do believe that the Alice Atlantis is even a bit better, in my rating, Alice Atlantis Volume 2, not Volume 2, I'm sorry, Alice Atlantis Volume 1, so that big one that I just showed you, scored a 9.7. The Carnival 5 has a 9.0 in my collection. Both I used in 2025, but both, I think, do have their reason to stay. The Carnival 5 lives off of that mix of the colorful and the grays. Plus, they have these beautiful glitters here. Honestly, I'm not ready to part with this, and I'm still waiting for BPerfect to come out with a new Carnival palette with Stacey Marie. So let's move on to the Bella Beauty bar stuff. Morally Grey, bought this year. I love this palette. It's a beautiful 9-pan. This is a keep. Recently, The Influenced, I bought this. Did I buy this year? No. I bought this last year. But recently, The Influence got an 8.0, but I actually haven't used it in all 2025. I have to admit that this is a palette that I will put on the maybe pile because I do like it. But I haven't done a lot of looks with this, so it looks also quite unused. I want to dig more into this. I rediscovered Bella Beauty bar for me when it comes to their quality, but you see, I think shades like Collab, Bold Glamour, and Backlash, Monetize, they are not touched, and I really need to explore more, so this is a maybe palette. Oh, and in case it was not seen, this is the old version. This is not the new magnetic one. Then we have the Realm of Fairies that came out, I think last year, but I bought it this year. It is a collab with Sassy Fair. Bought this myself. Beautiful palette to keep. Then we have the Come Play With Us. That was their spooky holiday palette. This was the first time that I got sent PR from Bella Beauty bar. I gave this such a good rating. The Come Play With Us scored a 9.3 in my collection, and every single look was just a banger, so this is a keep. The Coalescence palette, I'm not 100% sure in what order my videos are going up, but I filmed my review already, and either it is already up or it will be released this week, so I'm not 100% sure. But I do like the Coalescent. It got a 9.0, so yes, I'm gonna keep that. And believe it or not, my favorite look in the video was the one with the greens. That is stunning and shocking at the same time. And last but not least, we have from Bella Beauty bar the old Smoky Glam palette, the old 13-pan format. Do you see something in here that might looks a bit off to you? If not, let me tell you, I haven't touched this. This palette is nearly unused, which is insane. I think I did 2 looks with this in total, and in all 2025, I have not touched this at all. This definitely goes to my maybe pile because I want to force myself to actually use this. Moving on to the next pile of palettes, and we have one Bobbi Brown. Yes, I have one Bobbi Brown palette, believe it or not. This is the Lunar New Year 2023. This palette was limited edition. It does not exist anymore, and as far as I know, this formula of eyeshadows also does not exist anymore. So we do have with Sunflare and Moonstone, and I think Citrain is the same one. This it reminds a lot of the Astral, the Blitz Astral shades from Pat McGrath, the old ones. Very, very sparkly. The thing is, I have not used this palette in 2025, and it is less than 8.0. It scored a 7.3. So basically, this palette is like, you're out of the game. You will not play with the rest of us. But I love this palette. I love to have this palette. It is not available anymore. There is something specific to this, and honestly, this probably also should have been in my emotional palette ranking. But I will keep it. I will keep it, and you know what? I'm gonna put this in my maybe pile, although I will probably keep it, but I want to force myself to use this. That is a good decision. Then we have the palette from Girlcult Cosmetics. They came out in 2025. This was their first eyeshadow palette. I like it, honestly. I think this is a good quality eyeshadow palette. It is neutral with a twist, and since this is fairly new, I'm not ready to let go of this. Moving on to Charlotte Tilbury, I have the Fire Rose Quad. That is the best eyeshadow quad from Charlotte Tilbury. Could you please focus? Is it focused? Hello, thank you. I think it is focused now. This quad is definitely the best quad from Charlotte Tilbury. Fire Rose is popular for a reason. For me, in my collection, I scored this with a 9.0, but I haven't used it in all 2025, so this is a maybe palette for me. And we have the two Beautyverse palette. This is the Beautyverse Pillow Talk, the Love palette. This came out 2024. I recently used it. I don't know if the short already went up, but I love the look that I created with this. So this is definitely a keep. And then we have the Beautyverse 2023. This was the first one that came out. It's also stunning. And what does this remind you of? Correct, it's like the Adept Cosmos palette, but I prefer this one over Cosmos. So while I haven't used this in all 2023, and I probably have to put this in the maybe pile, I don't want to because I'm pretty sure I'm gonna keep this, so I keep this. This is going to be hard. These are the pre-made palettes from Clionadh. By the way, we will talk about the singles at the end of the video because, you know, I do have palettes with single eyeshadows in there. They will need to be reviewed here too. But this is so hard. So these palettes were limited edition. I also don't know if they are available not at this point here, but let's start with the Paleo palette. The Paleo palette scored a 9.0 in my review, but I haven't used it in all 2025, which is actually a shame. Then we do have the Oceano palette, which is this one. This scored a 8.7 in my collection, and I have used this in 2025, and I really like the look. You love the look that I did with this. I did it in the last palette roulette, so this is 100% the keep. And then we have the Ta Qeo palette. This scored a 7.8 in my collection, plus I haven't used this in all 2025. Can you guess why? The color story is just really not for me. The thing is, I want to be a new person in 2026, and let's be honest, keeping something for the sake of keeping it so that I have the full collection here does not feel right. So you know what, I'ma declutter the Ta Qeo palette, and the Paleo palette goes to my maybe pile. I think that is a very, very good decision. With Byredo, I think we can make it short. I have the Bibliophilia. This is new. This came out in 2025. I just recently did my review for this and it scored a 8.7. I don't want to declutter this, and same goes for the Mineral Escapes. Although people they want to give me so much money if I sell them this palette. I think the highest bid that I've gotten was like 800 bucks for this palette. If you are willing to pay 5,000, then I will give this to you. Otherwise, I won't. But honestly, now for real, but I mean, that was just a joke. For real, stop offering money for palettes if they're not for sale. That is just weird behavior. Mineral Escapes definitely stays in my collection, and both of them, of course, I used them in 2025. I now have a bunch of ColourPop palette that we definitely need to talk about. Let's start with the Back to Hogwarts palette. This actually is part of those palettes that I keep in its original sleeve because it is so pretty. I am a fan of Hogwarts. I am a fan of Harry Potter, so I will definitely not declutter this. This is a 100% safe keep in my collection. Cloud9 palette I recently actually used, which is insane. But at the end, this is a very, very boring palette. I don't see myself sitting here trying to think of what can I use to get ready and then be like, oh my god, let's use Cloud9. It's pretty, I like the palette, but it's nothing that excites me, so you need to go. The Troublemaker palette, I remember how popular this was and how hard it was for some people to get. This is a palette that scored in my collection a 9.0, but I haven't used it in all 2025. Or did I? No, I didn't. The thing is, I like this a lot, so I want to keep this. kind of. But since I haven't used it in 2025, I'm gonna put this in the maybe pile. So next up we have the Aurora Struck palette, which is a stunning eyeshadow palette. The last time that I checked on the ColourPop website, I couldn't find it anymore. Does anybody have information if this is discontinued? If so, what a crime. But this one is stunning. And I feel like this is an eyeshadow color story that, especially in 2025, we have seen Arcana from Adept Cosmetics. Dancing Lights is something similar like that. And pretty sure we can name others like that too. But there is something very specifically beautiful about the color, oh my god, I wanted to say Color Struck, the Aurora Struck from ColourPop, that I'm not willing actually to part with this. In my collection I gave this an 8.2 and I used it in 2025, so this is a keep. The Pretty Please palette, oh, this will hurt me. First of all, this scored a 7.7 in my collection and I haven't used it all 2025. I bought this because these eyeshadows here, I think at least that first row are the Super Shock shadows. That was the only reason why I bought this. The palette is absolutely stunning and I think it will look great on other people. On me, it's just too soft for my liking, so I have to declutter this. Let's move on to cosmic brushes. Or Cosmic Beauty, however you want to call them. First of all, we have the Winter Wonderland with a 10.0 in my collection, plus I used it. No real thing to discuss here. This is a definite keep. Then we have the Gothic palette. Who am I to declutter this beauty? Yes, it is once again the purple eyeshadow color story, but look at this. No, thank you. And by the way, I keep this, yes, but I haven't used it in all 2025, but I just know that I like it, so easy. The Sinister palette scored an 8.7, but I haven't used it in all 2025. This came out in a limited edition box in 2024, and I do have the new Death Tarot palette. This is of course not in here because I haven't touched it yet, but people have been pointing out that they look quite similar. I will actually put this now in my maybe pile because I want to do a comparison between this and the Death Tarot, and then I want to do looks with this and compare it. How similar are these palettes really, and is it kind of a benefit to have both, or is one better than the other? So the Sinister palette actually goes to the maybe pile. The Neutrals palette with an 8.5. I used it this year. I think I was forced to use this in a palette roulette. I hate this palette. The thing is, the color story, it does make sense. My personal excitement is not that high, but the quality is good. That was the reason why I kept this, because of quality and that the color story itself makes pretty much sense. I don't like it though. On me, I think this palette is really not that vibing with myself, so this is a declutter. The Cool Trills palette is definitely a keep. I love this, plus it has a 10.0 in my collection. I haven't used this in all 2025, but it would be a crime to declutter. And last but not least, I think I said it in my palette ranking, the smaller palette is everything that I did not expect, and that not in a good way. This left me kind of underwhelmed and really disappointed. And while the smaller palette with an 8.8 got a really good score, I just know that I will not reach for this at some point in my collection. So this is a very, this is just a safe declutter. Let's move on to Danessa Myricks. I have the Mini Freedom Pastel palette. This I surprisingly like a lot. This is a really beautiful mini 6-pan palette, so I'm gonna keep that. And then we have two Lightworks. I have the Lightwork 5. I used it recently, and I have to admit that somehow in my head, this palette was better than it at the end performed on the eye. I do want to use it again just so that I can make my final decision. So I have to actually put this on my maybe pile. I don't want to keep this palette for the sake of keeping it because it is not available anymore. And the Lightwork 7. This got basically the last place in my ranking because I just didn't declutter it before filming the ranking. Do you know what's the best thing in the whole palette? It's this shade up here. Everything else is just mediocre shit. And you know what? Life is too short to have shit in your collection. So I'm gonna declutter this. I actually gave this a 7.2, and that is very generous. So next up we have Fantasy Cosmetica. This is the collab palette with Betty Bean, the witch is familiar. I was not sure when I did the look with the palette because it was kind of weird, but at the end I really liked it and I'm digging the palette, so I'm gonna keep that. Then we have Florasis. Oh boy, that's going to hurt. Let's start with the quad. This is the Iris Twilight quad, and I absolutely adored the look that I did with the quad. Can it please focus? I hope it is focused. The thing is, will I reach for the quad again to do another look? No, that is the thing. So it is safe to say that this will definitely find a better home with someone who will enjoy the full potential of this. So this is Declutter. Oh, and by the way, all of the Florasis stuff I got sent by them. I feel like they kicked me off of their PR list because I haven't heard anything from Florasis in nearly a year, and they also haven't sent me what was the last thing that they sent me? I think the 2 quads. Yeah, I think that was the last time they sent me stuff, but it's okay. Next up, we have the Floral Engraving Phoenix palettes, and we're starting with the first one. This is number 1, Gold Brown. Then we have number 3, Soaring Sunlight. And then we have number 4, Burgundy Sunset. And I am just opening them to look at them now and... Okay, let's start with number 1. This is an insanely beautiful eyeshadow palette. Everything about this makes me very, very happy when I look at this. Will I sit here and say, oh my god, let's use that? No, I won't. So, Declutter. The same with this one. I love the way this looks, and as you can probably tell, I have used especially the shimmer shades a lot. But will I sit here and when it's not forced by a Wheel of Fortune and think, oh my god, let's pull out Soaring Sunlight? Absolutely not. So Declutter. This one was not only sent to me as PR, I even did a sponsored video with this with Florasis. This is an absolutely beautiful color story, and I love this warm reddish thing. The Rich palette is in my maybe pile, and when I look at this palette, I honestly think of this is a mini version of the Rich palette. This palette I did not touch in 2025, while the other 2 I actually used. And because of the warmth, and since this is a very specific, for me, moody color story, I don't want to part with it yet, but I also am not 100% sure if I want to keep this, so this is going to the maybe pile. Now we have a batch of Flower Nose. We have the Black Swan palette. Easy keep. We have the, what is it called? This is the Black Currant Cold Brew from the Strawberry Rococo series. Look at this design. It's so pretty. But the eyeshadow palette is just so basic. It's a basic bitch, cool toned neutral color story that I like, but I don't like it enough to keep it. So Declutter. I also haven't used it in all 2025. The newest one in my collection is from the Deep Sea one. No, this is Deep Sea from the Shells Jewel collection, that way around. This is a 100% keep, plus it is fairly new. Then we have the Terracotta Brick from the Butterfly Cloud Color collection. See, this is also a very specific color story. But there is something that makes this quite special, so this is a keep. And then we have the 2 Angel palettes from the Little Angel collection. We have the Eden Angel. Oh, this is so stunning. And yes, I know this is the same thing as with the Black Currant palette. This is basically just a cool tone neutral color story, but this is better. And then we have the Weeping Angel. This is a cool tone blue dark color story. Beautiful, plus these beautiful shimmers. So yes, easy to keep. I have one Game Beauty palette left, and that is the Cyberpunk palette. I do like that. I think this is a beautiful color story, but let's be honest, the Cyberpunk palette scored an 8.0 and I used it in 2025, but I remember that I was forced to use it through a palette roulette or something. And why does it lose focus? Okay, that's better. While I like the palette, oh, that way around, by the way, I was sent this as a welcome gift when I joined their affiliate program. It is a bit too over the place. And I know this is inspired by the game Cyberpunk, and while I think that the shade themselves, they are quite spot on, I'm missing something more dark because overall the whole night city vibe of Cyberpunk is way darker than this. I think this matches more the anime, the Edgerel one, but yeah. It does hurt a little bit, but I just know that I will not be... Hello, focus. Hello? What is it focusing here? Ah, that way. But I'm pretty sure that whenever I use this, I will feel like there's something missing, so I have to declutter this, sadly. I now have a couple Girlcult palettes here that I need to talk about with you. First of all, we have this bigger one. This is with the artist Lee Zen, I think is her name. And this is an all matte eyeshadow palette. I like the quality a lot, but just when you take into consideration what else I kept already, I feel like this is not in good hands in my collection, and I think this will have a way better home at someone else's collection where it gets used a good lot. I like this. This is really not a declutter due to bad quality or anything. This is a declutter because I feel like I will not use it enough. I will not love it enough. Next up, we have one of the quads. This is number 42 coming to the Magical City, and I just picked it up this way, and can you hear that? I am actually afraid to open this. This is a palette that I already dropped once and half of the shades just fell out. So when I open this, okay, there's something inside that is loose, but you can see what I mean. I lost half of this and half of this shade because I dropped it and I then just tried to save whatever was possible. I think this is a stunning palette, but honestly, I have not... Did I touch this? No, I haven't touched this in all 2025 and I don't think that I want to touch this. Something is throwing me off because half of the palettes are missing and I just spit on it. So now it's definitely a declutter. It's something underneath the palette that is loose. Then we have number 51, Black Lettering. This is from the 4 Great Inventions collection. No. Yes, I haven't used... No, I did use this in 2025. But I will not declutter this. I mean, look at this color story. This is so pretty. Then we have number 52. This is Like Fire. This one I haven't used in 2025, but this was the first Girlcult palette that I ever used. And no, I will not declutter this. I will also not put this into the maybe pile because I just like it so much. Then we have number 55, Draw a Dragon. Sadly, I cannot remember how the collection was named that this came in, but it did get an 8.8 in my collection. Oh, no. It was the... It had something to do with money. I remember it was something in somewhat of a New Year's collection, I think. And it came in that, like a little suitcase with a lot of other stuff. But I sadly forgot the name of the collection. But I said, this scored an 8.8, but I haven't used it in all 2025. If I have to choose between this one and the Black Lettering one, I think they are quite similar. I would even say that this is even a bit more neutral than Black Lettering, but I would always choose the Black Lettering one. Is it focusing, by the way? I'm not sure if it's on focus. I think now it is. I don't think that I would use this, so this is sadly a declutter. And then there was also another one. This is 56, Finishing Touch. This is an all shimmer one. This is, again, quite pretty, but I have to put this on the maybe pile, actually, because I cannot, for the sake of my life, remember if I really like this. In my collection, this actually scored a 9.3, so I must have liked it a lot, but I want to make sure that this is still the case, so this is a maybe one. Then we have the Meow Witch Sudden Thunderstorms palette. I love the color story, but I don't like the cream eyeshadow. Honestly, the cream eyeshadow in here takes a little bit away of the effect that this has on my eye, and I feel like there's just that one shade that is purely wasted. The shimmers in here are mwah, chef's kiss, but let's be real. Honestly, I'm just thrown off because of that cream shade. That is the only reason why I don't touch this palette, so I will give this to somebody else who will have much more joy with that. Two palettes are left. Both of them are used in 2025. The first one is number 60. This is Winter Warms. This came in the Herbs, the Medica palette, collection, I'm sorry, not palette. And this one has some mattes and two beautiful shimmers. I do like it, but will I touch this? Probably not. Same goes for the Summergrass palette. Although, honestly, this one I would probably use over the other one. Where's the sweet spot for focus? I think now it is. So I will keep Summergrass, but I will declutter Winter Warms. I have two Glaminatrix palettes here. The first one is Fairy Lights. This is not available anymore, and I will not declutter that. And the second one is Timeless Tones. This, I just bought this year, not this year, it's 2026 when you see this. But I bought this in 2025 because it came out in 2025. It scored a 9.2, and let's be honest, it's a stunning palette, so this is a keep. I still have two Glamlite palettes in my collection. The first one is the OG Ghostface palette. This one is basically a gray color story. It's beautiful, it's pretty, and I love the design, but I did use it in 2025. But I'm not sure if I really want to keep this, honestly. And that has nothing to do with the little dispute that I have with them. This has to do with the fact that I don't enjoy it. So honestly, you can go. And then I have the Crazy in Love one. That is a Chucky palette. And oh, this is so dark and it's just a dark and heavy palette. And while I haven't used this actually in 2025, I don't want to declutter this. I also don't want to put this in a maybe pile because I know I will keep it. So I will keep it. So next up we have a couple of Gloss Gods palettes. The first one is the Molten Metals. This one, 50% of the palette is good, 50% of the palette is shit. The 50 good ones, you probably guessed it, is the row of shimmers. And I do have other palettes that can give me that, so I can happily leave that out. Next up, we have the Color of Rain. This is still probably my favorite eyeshadow palette from Glaminatrix, although, not Glaminatrix, Gloss Gods. Although Dancing Light scored much higher than this, but when you just look at this eyeshadow palette, how awesome is this? I already said it in a review that I want to have this in the reformulated version. I am not ready to let go of this, but I want to test myself if I still love this. So, since I haven't used this in 2025, I'm going to put this actually in the maybe pile. We have the Girl on Jupiter. The thing is, this is a very, very pretty eyeshadow palette, and I gave this a 9.0, so it is quite good. But I just like the new Gloss God stuff so much more that I don't find the joy in this one, so I actually declutter that. And then we have Dancing Lights and Starry Sky missing, or left, not missing. No, this is a keep. No, this is a keep. We can also make it quick with these two. These are the two Gourmand Girls palette. I will send both of them in PR by Gourmand Girls. We have the Trapped palette. Let's just take a quick look inside. And the beautiful Nevermore palette. Both on new. Both got great ratings in my collection, so I keep both. And then we have some Hagrid palettes. The first one is Ragnarok. This one is... honestly, I was so sure that I will declutter this, but I actually put this in the maybe pile. So none of the Hagrid palettes I actually used in 2025, which is concerning because I love them so much. But, oh no, you know what? The thing is with this palette, I will use this and do exactly one look. I will incorporate all of the mattes, then I do the gold all over the lid, and this as inner corner highlight. And that look I will be doing over and over again. Maybe at some point I will do a look only with the black and gold. But I have other palettes that give me this, so honestly, the Ragnarok palette, it can go. Yes, it can go. It can go. Then we have the Daughter of Satan. This was sent to me in PR by Hagrid themselves. This is a cool palette, but I just do not like the design of this, so actually I want to let go of this. Just thinking of the pants makes me weird. And then we have the Captive of Night by Hagrid. This palette is so good. I love everything about this, and the best part is Labyrinth here, the first shade. This is a blackened olive gold, and I have no other shade in my collection. The community and we are still on the hunt for having a dupe for this one, and it just does not exist. So I'm gonna keep this. I have one sad Huda Beauty palette left. This is Icy Nude, the last one that they did in this format. And I'm still pissed that they didn't even give us a 9-pan this year, or in 2025, but it's okay. The Icy Nude I have not used in 2025, but I gave this an 8.5. The thing is, my biggest critique about this palette is the quality of the shimmers. I don't know if you can see this here in the video shot, but Bling, Diamond Dew, VVS, and I think Iced Out were also. They have quite an interesting texture, and with interesting, I mean bad. Bling is so sandy and gritty, while Diamond Dew and VVS, they are flaky and creamy at the same time. I'm actually clinging to this palette because it is the last one from Huda in this format, but at the same time, do I feel any excitement looking at the palette? Let's be real, I don't, so I'm gonna let go of this. It's time to just let things go here. I think with this part here, we can make it short. I have every single Isamaya palette that ever launched, from the OG Industrial up to Wild Horse. This palette is so fucking underrated, I can't. And the 2 new core palettes. I will not declutter a single one of them. So, even Industrial 1. I hate it because there are 2 shades that are just not good. I will not declutter this. No. I'm gonna take them and move away. I have one single palette from Clarity Cosmetics. The thing is, I do like the palette, but I do not like the brand Clarity Cosmetics because they blocked me after I criticized the fact that their shadows do not even survive the transportation to me. I had to repress this shade here, everything crumbled out. I had to repress shades in the Deadly Roses, I think was the name, was the other one that I had from them. And I basically just said in their post, it was last year, I think, they posted something with how good their palettes are, and I said, yeah, I would love to agree, but sadly your palette or your eyeshadow breaks so easy that you have to repress them and they're not safe for travel or anything. And they immediately blocked me after I said that. So no thank you. No time for the energy, Clarity. Please, no thank you. I'm gonna declutter that. Then we have the Seraph palette from Cryptine Cosmetics. This was sent to me in PR by Locality store. I didn't use it a lot so far because it came to my collection quite late in 2025, so I'm gonna keep it. The Lancome Cafe Crush is so motherfucking boring. I can't. Do I want to keep this or not? This is really hard. It scored an 8.3 and I used it because it came out this year. I do like the quality though. You know what? Maybe pile. Let's make now a controversial move here. So these are the space cases by Lemonhead LA. I don't know if you realized that I, at a certain point in my collection, stopped talking about Lemonhead LA, and whenever we talked about glitter palettes like this, that I talked only about Slayfire Cosmetics. The reason for that is quite simple. I decided that I don't want to promote Lemonhead LA on my channel anymore, and so I stopped showing them in videos. I kept on using the palettes a bit, and in 2025 I used the mini palette here, the big one I actually haven't touched yet. And I just realized that when I don't promote them in the video, when I'm not fine on mentioning them in a look that I did, I am also not using them outside of any video. I even deleted a lot of posts where I featured them. I hope I did all of them. So if you find a post still from me where this is in there, please let me know. I haven't deleted all the videos on YouTube yet, but I will follow by that. Maybe when you see the video, I already did it. I do want to make it short. The owner of this brand is really not okay. The only reason I kept them was A, they were featured in Euphoria, and I love the makeup there, but even Donny Davy is her name? Yeah, Donny Davy. She stepped away from Lemonhead LA. Even if I paid so much money for them, it's just not worth keeping them. So today's the day. I'm gonna do my statement here, and I will declutter them. There is only one glitter brand that we will talk about later. Next up, we need to talk about Adept Cosmetics and their motherfucking quads. I like their quads, but let's just take a look. So we have Shimmer Saga and Basic Elements. These two, I used them all this year because I did the video with them. Shimmer Saga and Basic Elements, they are nice to look at, not gonna lie. I don't think that these are bad quads at all. The Shimmer Saga one scored a 7.3 and Basic Elements 7.7. I don't want to have them in my collection because I don't feel the joy to use them, so I will declutter them. Then we have the fairly new Aurora quad, where I personally think only the upper two shades, Aura and what was the other, Halo, are the stars of the palette. So you have only a quad and only two shades are really living it. So declutter. And last but not least, we have Siren Song. It's also very, very beautiful, but nothing I would use, honestly. So it's time to let go. All four will be decluttered. Their liquid eyeshadows, the sparkle ones. Oh, buy them. They are so good. They're so good. Next up, we have the Declutter Cosmetics Conjuring palette. That was the last palette that came out before they completely rebranded. I'm sorry. I think this is an okay palette. I liked what I did in my review. Will I reach for the palette again? No, sadly not. So I can honestly, confidently say that this is okay to declutter. If you watched my palette ranking, you remember that we had this riddle of a missing palette, and that is Lisa Eldridge Betty. I cannot find it. I am 100% sure that I didn't declutter the palette, but I did apparently because it is not in my collection anymore. So we call Betty actually as decluttered. It does not exist anymore. And to be honest, it would have been decluttered at this point. So now we have basically 4 palettes left. The first one is Sorcery. And oh boy, I will not declutter Sorcery. This is a keep. Next up, we have the Fawn palette. This one scored an 8.3. By the way, Sorcery I haven't used in 2025, but I just know that I would keep it in a maybe pile. Then we have Fawn, that is marketed as the first true neutral palette. And I have to admit, it is a true neutral palette. And I actually like that. I do want to have something like that in my collection. And I think Lisa Eldridge is a good choice to have something like that in your collection from the brand. Next up, we have the Vega palette. This is the only eyeshadow palette that looks like this in my collection. And this one here, this is the shade, I forgot the name, French Grey. This is my second one. I already bought a refill because I used it so much. And I think even here in the black, you see my dip. This is a palette that I truly enjoy. Vega got an 8.3 in my collection. I haven't used it in 2025. It is a shame. But I want to in 2026, but I just know if I would put this in a maybe pile, I'm gonna keep this, so I'm gonna just keep it. And last but not least, we have Myth. I waited so long to have it back in stock and then to purchase this, so I will not declutter this here. Moving on to this pile, this is the Made by Mitchell Chrome Cowboy palette. This one got an 8.7. I haven't used it in all 2025 and I will not in 2026 because, yeah, Made by Mitchell is not cool anymore. Declutter. We have my two Makeup by Mario palettes. This is Ethereal Eyes Moonlight. This got a 8.5 in my collection and I used it in 2025 and I keep on using it. Then we have the OG Ethereal Eyes. This only has a 7.7, but I also used it in 2025. I think it's quite obvious why I want to keep this. It is just that neutral palette. Then we have my two overpriced Mob Beauty quads. The first one is the Grunge Core. I just cannot part with this because I really like the color, but I just do not like that clay eyeshadow. So I'm gonna put actually Grunge Core in the maybe pile. It also scored only a 7.7 because of the quality. And then we have the Trad Goth Quad. This is probably the most underwhelming palette ever to exist because it is literally just white, black, gray, and gunmetal. But I like it a lot, so this one will be a keep. And then we have the MAC 40 Shades of Pride palette. This was a palette that I think came out in 2024 for Pride Month. It was 150 bucks and you basically have 40 rainbowy shades in here. It is a stunning palette and I actually enjoy having colorful eyeshadows in the MAC quality because they are not as punchy as maybe you know, some Narimi or some Bella Beauty Bar or Blend Bunny. Talking about Narimi, this is the next pile of products that we are having here. You can probably tell I have quite a few Narimi palettes, so let's start with the first one. This is Brown Amber. This is a 9.0 and I haven't used it in all 2025. I know that I love this, but I actually want to put this on the maybe pile. Next up, we have Night Spider. This scored an 8.2 and same here. I haven't used this in all 2025. Honestly, will I use it in 2026? Not with joy because of random chartreuse. So this is a declutter. By the way, most of the Narimi stuff got sent to me in PR, just to let you know. Then we have Blue Twilight Dawn. This scored a 9.0 and I used it in 2025 and I absolutely adore this eyeshadow palette, so this is a keep. Then we have One Eyed Count. This is quite new in my collection. This scored an 8.0. For me, this is quite a surprising color story because of blue, purple, and olive green. I like it actually a lot because it is something different, so I'm gonna keep it. And we have Fireflies in the Dark. I don't think that I need to say a lot other than keeping it. Midnight Narcissus, also very new, scored a 7.2 and honestly, I don't want to keep this. Then we have Pegasus Night with an 8.5 in my collection. This is surprisingly a good color story, so I keep this. Black Ash with 9.3, also one of my favorites. This is just a dead water corpse color story that I really enjoy. Keep. And last but not least, we have the Cicada palette. This is an all matte eyeshadow palette, and I just wish that this was not that damn neutral. I wish that this had a little bit more color variation, a little bit more depth. So honestly, while I like the quality of this, I don't want to keep this in my collection anymore. Oh boy, a pile of Natasha Denona. That is going to be hard. Let's start with Mini Retro. This is, honestly, there is something very special about this color story, and I don't know what it is, but something in me, if I wouldn't have so many eyeshadows, I want to pan this palette. I want to pan the shit out of it. I want to pan it so hard it calls me its pan mother. But we won't do this, but I think it's quite clear that I'm keeping this palette. Although I haven't used it in all 2025. Surprising, I know. Next up, we have the Retro Glam. I used it in 2025 a couple times. I just like the palette more than I should, so this is a keep. The golden palette, let's start with that one. The best thing about the golden palette is the shade Lock. Everything else is so useless in this palette that it hurts. So this will be decluttered. Plus, it just scored a 7.7. So I also want to take the chance now to talk about the I Need a Warm at the same time. This scored an 8.0 in my collection. I used it this year, and I do think this is better than the golden palette. The problem is in this palette that when I use this, I can do the same looks over and over again, and I'm pretty sure that I will in general end up with the same looks all over and over again. So that I don't see the use in this palette. I think this is way too monochromatic. I think this is way too repetitive in itself, and that's actually hard to do in a 15 pan. I don't think this serves a purpose in my collection. Much rather would I keep the Rich palette from Beauty Bay than this one. I used it not too long ago, and I liked what I did with this. But I want to be honest, this is really hard. I don't want to put this on the maybe pile because the maybe pile is piling up here. You know what? I will not miss this when I don't have this. You can go. I didn't use the Xenon palette in all 2025, but I think you can tell how much I love this, so this is a keep. Also, the I Need a Nude palette. You probably would think that I will declutter this, but I won't. This palette made so many things right. I absolutely adore this. The My Dream palette is in the list of palettes that I would call the best palettes of all time, so I will not put this away. The Retro palette is a purple lover's dream. And so is the Rocha, I'm sorry. I'm gonna make it quick. This one here is the worst Natasha Denona palette that I ever tried, and that after I tried Biba. Yes, don't throw rocks at me. I think Biba is overrated and bad. This one here is worse, so this is a declutter. And the Retro palette, I have so many purple color story palettes. I have so many better purple color story palettes that I cannot keep this. We have a pile of Nomad. Number 1, we have Polar Express. Keep. We have New Zealand Stargazing. This is quite easy. I want to put this on the maybe pile because I don't have a lot of memory on this palette. In my ranking, I gave this an 8.0, so it is on that line of not being okay for my collection, but I like what I look at, so I'm gonna put this in the maybe one. I'm not opening this, the Christkindlmarkt, keep. Fuji 5 Lakes is the only Nomad palette that I didn't use in 2025, which is shocking because I could have sworn this came out in 2025, but it was 2024. But this is such a stunning eyeshadow palette, I will keep it. The Chicago Speakeasy has such a beautiful vibe to it that I want to keep this. Pacific Northwest, I'm gonna just make it short. This was sent to me in PR. This is a keep. Ghost Town USA, such a beautiful color story. Keep. And while I do have my problems with the Witchy City Salem because of orange and green, I still want to keep this because I actually like the overall combo. I think Nomad Cosmetics is the only brand now where all of the palettes so far survived. I mean, the maybe pile is still survived. This one I'm gonna do quick. I have the Noricorn Blight Moon palette. This is in collaboration with Ghoul in Japan. I do have the newest one too, that is with Freya 86. I just tested this, so this is not here in the list. I do have my critiques with this. For example, the Ruby Flame shade is really not that good. The overall color story is quite weird. But I like the combo. I mean, this one here, together with the black, oh boy, it's really good. I gave it an 8.7 because it is very unexpected. So I'm gonna keep this. I also have the two OG Odin's Eye Merry Christmas palettes. This is Merry Christmas. And then we have Christmas Eve. Honestly, you will have to rip these palettes out of my dead cold hands. I cannot part with them. I did order the new single version of this, so I will do a comparison between them, but I'm gonna keep all three. I want to start with the holiday palettes because I really don't know how I will decide on the motherships. I have all motherships. But at the same time, I don't want to keep all motherships for the sake of keeping all motherships. I want to keep them because I really like them. So, let's start with holiday. Number one, this is from, oh god, I think last year. Yeah, Luminous Legends, Starfall Seduction. This is pretty, yes. But I haven't touched this since my review, so it's easy to say that this is a declutter. We have Gilded Nirvana. This came out this year, and here's the focus. And while I have my critiques with this, I do like it. Plus, it is fairly new, so I keep this. Then we have Lunar Nightshade. Oh, this palette. There is just something pretty... I cannot part with Lunar Nightshade. That was my favorite when it originally launched. Although I only gave this a 7.8 and I didn't use this. But I like what I see when I look at this. Why did I give this in 7.8? Why is it not over 8? Maybe pile. You go to the maybe one. Next up we have Bordeaux Bliss. And I remember that I had this on a maybe pile already, or at least on a to be decluttered. And I kept this at the end for these two shades. Now is the time to say goodbye. Same goes actually for Bronze Ecstasy. The only reason why I kept this are these two shades in here. These are Enchanted Bronze and Honey Nectar. Honestly, isn't Enchanted Bronze here in that one? No, it isn't. I thought it is in the Gilded Nirvana, but it is time actually to let go of this. Then we have the Luminous Legends Mega. Oh, here, see, Honey Nectar is in this one, so that's good. So one of the shades why I kept the other one is now here. But this is the Luminous Legends Mega. I have to put... I fear that I have to put all of them on the maybe pile. But I have already like 20 palettes on the maybe pile. I've been sitting here staring at the palette in the same position now for at least 5 minutes. I don't want to put this on the maybe pile. I don't feel comfortable decluttering this. You know what? I'ma keep it. It's from 2024, so it is only a year. But I gave this a 7.7. Plus, I haven't used this. So am I keeping it only for the sake of keeping it? Just these two, side by side, I prefer the Gilded Nirvana. I mean, the size comparison is ridiculous. That's not what I'm talking about. I put this in the maybe pile. Then we have Celestial Odyssey. This one is from 2021. We're not talking about eyeshadow age here. By the way, if anyone comes at me, oh my god, they're so old. Thank you. You can declutter them, you can throw them away. As soon as an eyeshadow smells weird or acts weird, I'm gonna do that too. But as long as it is the same formula, as long as it doesn't smell fishy or whatever, I'm gonna keep that. But here we have now Celestial Odyssey. And while I think this is a very pretty palette, honestly, with this one, I'm quite confident that I don't want to have this anymore because it is just not that good. It is okay, but I don't think I need this in my collection. I scored it with an 8.8 and I used it this year, yes, but it's kind of underwhelming, so... Although it hurts, this is a declutter. Scoring at an 8.7, but I haven't used it in 2025, is Celestial Divinity. But this one, I am not giving away. It will go straight back into my collection. And then we have the Celestial Nirvana. This is from 2022. This Not only didn't I use this in all 2025, but this scored a 7.5 in my collection. So this got such a bad rating. This was the first time Pat McGrath tried to do something colorful. And while I like that and I appreciate the step, this palette is not really cohesive. It's not that good. It's not that working. So declutter. Let's tackle now the motherships. Okay. We have Mothership 1, this is Subliminal, and I scored this at an 8.0. Most of my motherships I didn't use, so let's just make this quick. The only motherships that I used in 2025 are Mothership 6, Midnight Sun, and Mothership 12, Petal Morphosis. This is also quite untouched. But I don't think that the mattes are good in this one. But I also don't want to declutter this. I also don't want to put this in the maybe pile, so I will keep this. Then we have Mothership 2, Sublime. Keep. Mothership 3, this is Subversive. Oh, it's so pretty. Keep. Oh, I know where this ends. I will keep all my motherships. Mothership 4, Decadence. Oh no, okay, maybe this one not. Decadence is an all shimmer palette and I do like it, but it's also very basic. So you know what? Decadence goes to the maybe pile. I want to see if I can create something cool with a good matte companion palette. Next up we have Mothership 5. This is, what was the name of Mothership 5? Bronze Seduction was the name. Keep. Mothership 6, keep. Mothership 7, keep. I'm really not good at this. Mothership 8, Divine Rose 2. It used to be my favorite mothership. Now it is not. I scored it at a 7.3 and didn't use this. I don't need to have all motherships. You can go. Colored powder. We don't need emotional attachment to this. Then we have Mothership 9. This is Utopian Dreams. I like these two shades. I think it's worth keeping for that. Mothership 10, Moonlit Seduction. The thing is that I don't like the overall quality in here, especially of our 4 special shades, because they are not special anymore, but I like the vibe, so keep. Then we have Mothership 11, Sunlit Seduction. This scored a 7.0. I haven't used it in all 2025, and I think it is time to just let go of this. Honestly, just letting go now. Morphosis, Mothership 12. Honestly, that one, surprisingly, I loved. We want to put Decadence here on the maybe pile. No, you know what? I'll part with that. No maybe pile. This will go. So this is now the last batch here of shit. Let's start with these two. I have 2 of the Patrick Ta duos. The first one is still at the club and I do like it, yes, but it's also not that special. The other one that I have is We Need Better Lighting. Again, very pretty, but not that special, so I'm declutter both. We have Cheery Up. The first one is the long-ass Dragon Ascension palette. I will definitely not declutter this, you know that. And we have the 16 pans. So this is number 3, Focus. This is a small version, I always say, of the Dragon Ascension one. I do like it. I sadly haven't used it in all 2025, but I gave this a 9.3, so I'm gonna keep that. And then we have number, what is it called? This is number 8, Ambition. This is an all shimmer palette. It's really, really pretty, but the problem is I also haven't used it in all 2025. Do I really need an all shimmer palette like this? I don't think so. You know what? We're letting go today. I have number 7, Stealing Hearts. This is very far out of my regular comfort zone, but I love the palette because it is this soft, cool toned vibe. I do really enjoy the quality in this, so I'm gonna keep it. And the other 3, I'm gonna make it quick. We have number 13, Fog Garden, definitely a keep, beautiful color story. Number 15, Star Core, absolutely stunning in collaboration with Freya 86. Same as number 9, Floating Life in collaboration with Freya 86, and I adore this palette, so I'm gonna keep that too. I basically now have the remaining palettes here, but I kind of mixed everything up, so I'm not going in alphabetical order anymore. So I just take what is doable here, and the first one is actually Shall We Makeup. So we do have the Wolfa palette. This is a stunning 7-pan eyeshadow palette. I absolutely adore this, but the problem is that all of the looks look the same with this, and the most special shade here in the palette is the first one. Do I have other glitchy shades like this? Absolutely yes. Do I think this is a very good palette? Absolutely yes. Is it of value in my collection? Sadly no. So, Declutter. Next up we have Summer Garden. This is a collaboration with Freya 86. Oh, who would have thought? Stunning palette. This is a keep. Then we have the Mist Witch palette. This is their first all matte eyeshadow palette with 2 cream eyeshadows. I actually like it aside from that weird olive green. The rest is absolutely fine, and I do not like the way this closes, but I like the palette, so I'm gonna keep this. Punk Bunny, making it short, keep. And then we have Mist Witch. This I haven't used all year, or all 2025. It scored an 8.7. But I kind of like the eyeshadow color story here, so you know what? I'm gonna keep that. Just keep it, keep it, keep it. We have 2 of the keychain palettes here. They don't do this format anymore. The first one that I have here is Liana. Stunning. And Circus. Double stunning. But I haven't touched them in all 2025, and I probably won't in 2026. So safe to say, this is Declutter. Next up we have Shi Zhuang. I hope I'm saying that right. I do have a face palette from them, and this is the Polar Day face eyeshadow palette. This is basically an overpriced 10-pan palette of beautiful shifty shades. The thing is, I like these a lot, so I'm gonna keep that. Talking about overpriced, let's bring this out of the way. This is Sugar Rock. This is the Luna Lure palette. I like the color story. I like the looks that I did with this. But I don't feel drawn to this. So I will declutter this. Let's talk about the only glitter brand that I will keep. This is Slayfire Cosmetics. I have the Across the Glitterverse 1 and 2. The diamond skin. By the way, I don't know if this has launched yet, but they did tease in their Instagram stories that this is coming in a mini format like this, and I'm super thrilled. And I have the To Die For palette. All 4 will be kept. Then we have this pile here. We have Question Beauty. This is the Legends of Land and Sea. This was sent to me by a friend of mine. This is a really pretty eyeshadow palette, and I like it so much more than I originally expected. So I'm gonna keep this. Then we have the Chapter 3 palette. This is the Guardian of the Lagoon. This was sent to me in PR by Question Beauty, and I adore this. I did a shirt with this. You definitely should check this out because the look is stunning. I have 2 of the Rabanne duos, and sadly one of them broke because it fell down. So this is the Midnight Lights palette. I do think this is pretty, but the problem is the dew is just something that I'm not really looking for to use. I don't see myself grabbing this, so I'm decluttering at least Midnight Lights. And then we have Back to Black. The problem is that Back to Black here has the blackest black that I've ever seen, and I love the shimmer, so I think it's okay for me to keep at least the Back to Black one. We have the Roman D Glitter Garden palette. This is stunning. I absolutely adore this. Just like any other glitter palette or like full on glitter palette, this is a companion that I use. So I'm gonna keep it together with my with the Slayfire palettes. Then we have Sampler. This is fairly new to my collection. This is a sub-brand by Beauty Bay, and I like the palette. And since this is very new, and I just, for video, I think I did one look, and then I did one or two outside of the camera, I think. I like it as said, and I'm gonna keep that. And now the last pile. Let's start with Tom Ford. I have 3 Tom Ford quads. I have the Cherry Smoke, which is this very warm one. I have Electric Cherry, which is this very cool one. And then I have Lumière d'Hiver, which is a very neutral one from a winter collection 2 years ago, I think. There is just no scenario in my everyday life where I would sit here, get ready and think, oh my, let's use Tom Ford. I'm just not the targeted audience, and that is absolutely okay that I am not that targeted audience, so you will go. We have Too Faced, the Aptly in Love. I'm not sniffing this now, but I'm gonna keep it. 2 Urban Decay palettes. This is the what was it called? The Urban Decay Space Cowboy. Okay, it's a Space Cowboy eyeshadow palette. I just called this Moondust Star because of, Moondust Star. Yeah, because of the star shape. And it's so boring. It's really boring. There's nothing really new here. In the center, you have Space Cowboy Rides Again. So this is actually a bit different to OG Space Cowboy. But I don't see the worth in keeping this, so I'm removing it. The Moondust Quad in Space Rider. The best thing in the palette is Space Cowboy itself, I'm not lying to you, and I am still hunting for the iced out one, so if you can grab this anywhere, let me know. I just don't see myself using this, so it will go. I do like the wet sheen of Space Cowboy, but if I want to do this, I actually have something different, like a Too Faced single shadow or the Glitter Pox from Half Magic Beauty. They do the same. I have 2 Victoria Beckham quads. One is Tweed, which, no, this is not Tweed. This one here, this is Tweed. This is the old shimmer brick, and I absolutely adore this. This is sadly discontinued, and I will not declutter this. And then I have, what was it called? Night Flash. This is a 4-pan smoky eye palette. Love this too. And last but not least, here is What's Up Beauty. This is the last palette that I have left, and where is What's Up Beauty? What happened to them? Because I remember that in 2023, they teased an eyeshadow palette. Where is that sad eyeshadow palette? I haven't seen it. Have you? The thing is, I don't want to let go of this because it has such beautiful shades, but I have these shades over and over again. So, you know what? At this point, the Dragon palette can go. So before I make some math here and we do see what I actually decluttered, we need to talk about my single eyeshadow palettes that I have here. So I'm just grabbing them because I, of course, did them quite weird here behind the microphone. First up, we have my 3 Clionadh palettes. My palettes are now full. I get the question all the time. These acrylic containers are from Adept Cosmetics. So I have my Clionadh number 1, which contains Series 1 Iridescent Multichrome, Series 2, and Series 3 Iridescent Multichromes, Glitter Iridescent, Pearlescent, Deep Iridescence, Earth Vibrant Multichromes, Electric Iridescence, Electric Duochromes, Glitter Vibrance, and a Vibrant Multichrome. So you can take a short look into this. I don't want to be too long here at this because I'm actually already filming over 2 hours. So this is a keep, let's be real. Then in my Clionadh 2 palette, I have Jeweled Multichromes, all the shades from the Deep Sea Treasure one. I think you can now buy them as a single, so that's really cool. I have Happy Accident 2, which came as a gift with purchase, Jeweled Light Multichromes, and some Glitter Multichromes. And here you have a look inside of that one. And in number 3, I have Dimensional Multichromes, Hybrid Multichromes, Dimensional Lights. I have 2 of the Holiday 2024 ones, a Pastel Multichrome, and fairly new are all of the Multichromes or the Holiday ones for 2025. I'm very, very proud that my Clionadh collection is finally completed, and at some point I will do a swatch video where I swatch all now 90 Clionadh shades that I have. You can do your own math how much these cost me, so I will keep them. Then I have two palettes with singles from Glaminatrix. I really, really like them. They are very, very basic shimmers, not too multi-chromy. They are very pretty. I do have a couple of mattes in here. Glaminatrix just has really good eyeshadows, so would be a crime to declutter these, to be honest. Let's talk Odin's Eye. This is the 12 one from 2020. Oh boy, is it 2023 at this point? I am really not sure, but this was their first batch with the very viral Leon shade. I bought mine after they fixed some issues with oil leaking here, and I like them, but as you can tell, they are quite unused, so that's a shame actually. And then I have the full collection that came out in 2024 with all the other shimmers and multi-chromes. Again, here we also have a lot of shades that I haven't touched yet, aside from swatching. Some of these are true shit, like this one here. This is so squishy and oily, I hate it. But I don't want to let go of this, honestly. I said I bought the singles for the like re-released Christmas lines, so I want to compare them. I then have a full display here of Clionadh eyeshadows, a full 30 pan basically, 4 mattes, and the rest are all, no, did I say Clionadh? I mean Terra Moon, I'm sorry, of different shimmers. I have used quite a bit of them and I really like them, so of course I keep them. And then I have 2 palettes of the Cheery Up singles. If you remember in my ranking, I mentioned the Phantom Glaze collection. These are singles and face products that I keep together with my glitters. These here are just the single eyeshadows, and here we have them. This palette, this is the first collection. This I actually really like. And the second one, I have to admit, this one I don't like as much anymore because it is a bit too light for me. The shimmer shades in here are very pretty, but honestly, I feel much more drawn to this one, to be honest. But the problem is that this shade here that looks so stunning is really not for me. So honestly, you know what? I'm gonna declutter these two. And since the single shadows were not in my initial list, I will not make the math with the 2 single eyeshadow palettes from Cheery Up that I just did, because the singles are a bit differently counted in my system, which is absolutely wild. Here we have now the pile of my maybe palettes. In total, we have 21 palettes that will be featured in some sort of other videos, either as a dedicated video, it will most likely be a short form content, or I will include them in any kind of get ready with me with another topic so that I can make my final decision on them. 21 is, I'm honest with you, a bit more than I originally thought it would be, but it's okay. I think it's fine that I put these in the maybe pile. And here we have now the final thing. So I did some math here. We went through 234 palettes. 21 now went to the maybe pile, and this here, these are 68 eyeshadow palettes that I will declutter. This means 29% of my eyeshadows are decluttered. This is fucking insane. 9% go on the maybe pile, and I basically will put back 145 eyeshadow palettes in my Billy shelf. Again, the maybe palettes, they will be stored somewhere else on my makeup desk basically, so that I can grab them. So I have them on site also, and you have no idea how relieved I feel. This is a really, really nice thing. I mean, I just look at my window thing here, and I have the ColourPop Gone Metal. I have a 4-pan from Clionadh here. I have the Beauty Bay Collector's Palette, Death Tarot from Cosmic Brushes, Merry Chrissy from Glaminatrix, the Nocturnal Flame with Ghoul Garden and Shall We Makeup palette, and the Candy Puppet from Noricorn Frey 86. These are all palettes that I haven't tested yet, that need to be tested, and that will be added in my collection too. So you see, it is a constant rolling process, but So far, I am very, very happy with this outcome here. I can just highly recommend take your time, go through a collection, and then just do a very ruthless declutter. Emotional attachment is important, and I think there is a certain emotional attachment with a lot of makeup, but keeping stuff just for the sake of keeping it is not that cool. Plus, if you don't feel the joy to use them, if I try to imagine if I would spin the Wheel of Fortune and it would choose any palette randomized, and if I don't feel a certain joy when this palette is chosen, then this palette has nothing to do. It has no purpose in your eyeshadow collection. It's not wrong to have a big collection. It's not wrong to have a small collection. Whatever makes you feel great. So we end the video here. I need to do certain things here. Thank you so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed this. Please make sure to subscribe so you don't miss out any of the other upcoming videos, especially not my maybe videos then. Thank you so much, and I see you hopefully very soon. I need a tea now or something alcoholic.